December 18th, 1944. Eastern France. The snow had been falling for hours, covering the roads in white and turning the countryside into a frozen maze. American trucks stretched for miles along a narrow road leading toward the German border. Engines idled. Men stamped their boots against the cold. Officers checked watches that seemed to move slower with every passing minute. Something was wrong. The advance had stopped. Nobody knew why. Private Walter Briggs climbed down from his truck and looked ahead. Hundreds of vehicles were stuck in place. Tanks, jeeps, ambulances, supply convoys. An entire American column sat frozen in the middle of a war. What happened? He asked. A sergeant shook his head. No idea. Another hour passed. Then two. The road remained blocked. Rumors spread through the column. German sabotage. A destroyed bridge. A minefield. An ambush. But the truth was far stranger. At the entrance to a small French town stood one man. The mayor. And he had refused to let the American army pass. Nobody could believe it. The soldiers stared down the road in disbelief. A single civilian had stopped thousands of troops. And before the day was over, the situation would reach General George S. Patton himself. The consequences would become a story soldiers remembered long after the war ended. The town was called Saint-Laurent-sur-Marne, a small farming community surrounded by vineyards and frozen fields. When the first American vehicles arrived that morning, they expected to pass through within minutes. Instead, they found barricades, wooden carts, farm equipment, stone blocks dragged into the road. And standing beside them was Mayor Henri Moreau, a gray-haired man in his 60s wearing a heavy coat and a black scarf. Captain Robert Ellis stepped forward. "Sir, these obstacles need to be removed immediately." The mayor did not move. "No." Ellis blinked. "I'm sorry. I said no." The captain looked around. Several townspeople stood nearby. None appeared frightened. None appeared willing to help. "The United States Army is moving toward the front." The mayor nodded. "I understand." "Then move the barricades." Again, the answer came. "No." The captain's patience began to fade. "Do you understand that American soldiers are fighting and dying to liberate this country?" The mayor's face tightened. "I understand very well." "Then what exactly is the problem?" The old man looked toward the town, toward the stone houses, toward the church, toward the civilians watching from windows. Then he spoke quietly. "You liberated us." "Yes. And now you are about to destroy us." The captain frowned. Nobody understood. The mayor pointed toward the narrow road. "If tanks enter this town, they will crush the water lines beneath the street." Silence. The captain stared. The mayor continued. "If your vehicles pass through, the entire town loses its water supply." The Americans exchanged confused looks. The explanation seemed absurd. Yet the mayor was deadly serious. "We survived 4 years of occupation," he said. "We survived shortages. We survived fear. We survived the Germans." His voice trembled. "But winter is here." He pointed toward the homes. "There are children inside those houses." The roomless silence hung over the street. "If the water system breaks, they will not survive this winter." The captain stood motionless. The problem was no longer military. It was human. The report moved upward. Major James Walker arrived. Then Lieutenant Colonel Frank Dawson. Each conversation ended the same way. The mayor refused. The army insisted. Hours passed. Neither side moved. Meanwhile, the convoy grew larger. Thousands of soldiers waited in freezing temperatures. Fuel burned. Supplies sat idle. Schedules collapsed. Frustration spread through the ranks. Sergeant Thomas Reed kicked at the snow. "This is insane." Private Briggs nodded. "One guy stopped the whole army." Nearby soldiers laughed. But nobody found it funny for long. Every hour mattered. The Germans were regrouping. American forces needed supplies. Men at the front needed ammunition. Delay could cost lives. Yet every officer who spoke with the mayor encountered the same thing. Not hostility. Not arrogance. Conviction. The old man genuinely believed he was protecting his people. As darkness approached, engineers inspected the streets. What they discovered complicated everything. The mayor was telling the truth. The water pipes were old, fragile, poorly repaired after years of neglect. Heavy armored vehicles could shatter them. The army suddenly faced an impossible choice: advance and risk harming civilians, or stop and lose valuable time. Arguments erupted inside command tents. Some officers demanded immediate action. Others urged caution. The debate continued late into the evening. Finally, a message was sent farther up the chain. Much farther. The situation reached headquarters. And eventually, it reached Patton. The next morning, snow drifted across the frozen fields. The convoy remained stuck. The mayor remained beside his barricades. Then word spread through the town. Patton was coming. Soldiers straightened their uniforms. Officers reviewed reports. Even civilians whispered nervously. By noon, several vehicles arrived. Military police stepped out first. Then staff officers. Then General George S. Patton. The atmosphere changed instantly. Nobody needed to be told who he was. Everyone knew. Patton stepped from his vehicle and surveyed the scene. The barricades. The trucks. The waiting soldiers. The worried civilians. The silent mayor. For several moments he said nothing. The snow drifted between them. The town remained silent. Patton walked slowly toward Mayor Moreau. The old man stood his ground. The soldiers watched. Nobody spoke. Patton stopped a few feet away. "You are the mayor?" "Yes." "You blocked my army?" "Yes." The general nodded. The answer surprised some officers. No excuses. No hesitation. Just honesty. Patton looked toward the town. Then back at the mayor. "Why?" The mayor explained everything. The pipes. The water. The children. The coming winter. Nobody interrupted. When he finished, silence returned. Everyone waited. Patton paused. His expression revealed nothing. The mayor met his gaze. The soldiers said nothing. Finally, Patton spoke. "You're protecting your people." "Yes." Patton nodded once. "Good." Several officers looked stunned. The mayor appeared equally surprised. Patton turned toward his engineers. "The reports are accurate?" "Yes, sir." "The pipes could fail?" "Yes, sir." Patton looked back at the town, then toward the endless convoy behind him. A difficult choice rested on his shoulders. Lives depended on speed. Lives also depended on water. Most men expected a military answer. Instead, Patton asked a question. How long to build a bypass? The engineers exchanged looks. One stepped forward. "If we use bulldozers and bridging equipment." He paused. "Maybe 24 hours. Patton nodded. "Then build it." The officers blinked. "Sir." Patton turned. "Did I stutter?" "No, sir." "Build it." The mayor stared. Patton faced him again. "You defended your town." The old man said nothing. Patton continued. "My soldiers are fighting to protect civilians." He gestured toward the houses. "That includes yours." The mayor's eyes filled with emotion. The roomless silence returned. Even hardened soldiers felt it. Patton's voice remained calm. "We're not here to save France by destroying French families." No one argued. No one could. The order spread quickly. Bulldozers arrived. Engineers moved into nearby fields. Hundreds of soldiers worked through the day and into the night. They cut a new route around the town. The work was brutal. The ground was frozen solid. Machines broke down. Men worked with numb hands. Still they continued. Because now the mission was bigger than a road. It had become a matter of principle. Private Briggs spent hours helping move equipment. At one point he looked toward the town. Children stood watching from a distance. One little girl waved. He waved back. For the first time, he understood why the argument had mattered. These weren't statistics. They weren't civilians on a report. They were people. The next afternoon, the bypass was completed. Vehicles began moving again. The enormous convoy slowly rolled forward. Tank after tank. Truck after truck. Jeep after jeep. None entered the town. None damaged the pipes. As soldiers passed, townspeople gathered along the roadside. Many waved. Some cried. Others simply watched in silence. Mayor Moreau stood near the edge of the road. Patton's vehicle approached. The general ordered it stopped. He stepped out one final time. The mayor approached. For a moment neither spoke. Then Patton extended his hand. The old man looked surprised. Then he shook it. A simple gesture. Yet everyone nearby remembered it. Patton looked at him. "You did your job." The mayor nodded. "So did you." The general gave a faint smile. Then he climbed back into his vehicle. The convoy continued toward the front. The town remained intact. Its water continued flowing. Its families survived the winter. Years later, soldiers who witnessed the incident rarely talked about tactics. They rarely discussed vehicles. They rarely discussed schedules. Instead, they remembered a frozen French town, a stubborn mayor, and a general who understood that victory meant more than moving armies. War often forces people into impossible choices. Speed or caution. Orders or conscience. mission or humanity. On that winter day, both sides stood their ground. Neither side acted out of selfishness. Neither side acted out of fear. Both believed they were protecting lives. And perhaps that is why the story endured. Because sometimes the most important victories are not won through force. Sometimes they are won through understanding. The soldiers moved on. The war continued. Battles would be fought. Lives would be lost. History would move forward. But in one small French town, a simple decision left a lasting lesson. Power is strongest when it chooses restraint. Leadership is greatest when it remembers the people caught in the middle. And humanity matters most when circumstances make it easiest to forget. What would you have done? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more World War II stories where humanity, war, and difficult decisions collided, make sure to subscribe.